Hi, in this video, I'll be showing you how to pollinate your sweet corn if you have a small garden or a small number of corn plants. So corn is wind pollinated, but you'd usually have a certain number of plants planting in a 4x4 or 5x5 to have successful wind pollination. If you're planting in a single row or a few corn plants in a pot, this video is for you. So we have here the tassel, which is the male part of the plant. And as we can see, we have all the pollen grains falling out with just a tap. And here we have the ear and silk. Each silk belongs to one single kernel. To get a full corn cob, we're gonna have to pollinate every single silk strand. Once you start to notice the tassel releasing pollen, this is where we begin. So this method, we're going to be using a bag to capture all the pollen. You can use any paper bag you want. You want to do this the day before you pollinate your plants. So you want to secure it at the neck to reduce the amount of pollen that falls out. Use anything to clip it up, something like pegs. And here we are the next morning. We're gonna gently bend over the top and lightly tap it. If the stem bends, that's okay, as long as it's still attached to the plant, it will keep producing pollen. And here we are with all the pollen collected from that one tassel. What you want to do is carefully tap the bag to control the amount of pollen that falls onto the silk. If you have multiple ears, you don't want to use up all the pollen for just one plant. And we can see in the after, all the pollen grains are stuck on the silk hair. So to get a full cob of corn, this process is going to take around 2 to 5 days. As the ear grows, new silk will emerge. If you don't want to use a bag method, you can simply just tap it onto paper. But be aware of doing this on a windy day, as a lot of pollen will just be flying off. Or there might not be any pollen left. As a bag, however, it will contain all the pollen regardless how windy it is. And here's some of the pollen we got by just tapping it onto paper. And now let us get some more pollen from the bags. So we want to continue to pollinate the same ears. Once you've noticed there's no more new silk emerging, you're good to stop pollinating that ear. And once again the next morning. As we can see here, the ear is starting to develop and lengthen as we keep pollinating the silk. Also, silk that has already been pollinated will start to dry off. It will start to look a bit green-brown, unlike fresh silk that is white. So as long as you continue to see new silk emerging, keep bagging up the tassels to collect the pollen. Also, there's another method where you cut off tassel strand, but I don't recommend this as even touching it a little bit releases a lot of pollen. And tassels produce pollen for a couple of days, so by cutting one off, you have less pollen to collect. And these tassels are exhausted, so you don't want to be bagging these because there's no point. And after a week, your silk is brown and all dried up. But this is not a sign that the corn is ready. Corn will be ready to harvest around 20 to 25 days after your first pollination. You can always check your corn if it's ready to harvest by pulling back some of the leaves. Here we have the ears that are fully pollinated. As you can see, they are full of corn. Also, if your corn plant has a second ear which you did pollinate, but it did not grow, it is simply the plant couldn't support it. Usually, most corn plants will produce one ear. If your plant is nice and healthy, you will get a second corn cob. Anyways, I hope this video has helped you out, and thanks for watching. Happy gardening.